What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Make your next thing a big one. Speaking of entertainment, today on the program, I have Pamela Hopkins. Oh, you've heard that name. Oh, you know a little bit about Pamela Hopkins. Well, you're going to get to know a little bit more in the next few minutes, so stick around. Now, this week's shows, my usual Friday night gig, my one public show, because, you know, I do a lot of private parties on the weekends, but my one public show is on Friday night at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. They got the full bar, the kitchen's open, pool tables. They got a pool tournament on Friday night, so if you want to try your hand at playing pool and possibly make some money, and while you're waiting to sing on stage right next to yours truly, come on out to the Rab, Conway, Arkansas, Friday night from 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the a.m. You're the star of the show. And you could dance if you want to. That's enough intro. Let's get into it with Pamela Hopkins. I got her on Skype, so if you're listening to the audio version, I encourage you to check out the video version on my YouTube page, youtube.com/user/Keys Dan. Skyping Pamela Hopkins now. Wow, that was so easy.
I was getting logged in and I was like, okay, I apparently need to download it on my computer because all I had was my phone. Otherwise, I'd be like this the whole time. So I was like, I'll just get my computer out.
Well, fantastic. Pamela Hopkins in the house. Oh, my goodness. You know what I figured out recently? We're kind of neighbors. I'm here in Conway, and I spend a lot of time in Little Rock. Are you in Little Rock?
No, I'm in Conway. Well, right now I'm in Gulf Shores, but I live in Conway.
You live in Conway. Well, why haven't you come out on Friday nights to the Rab and come sing karaoke for me?
Because I work at Willie D's.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. So you know Susan then?
Yeah, she's my boss. Yeah.
Oh, that's
good friend
fantastic. Of mine. You know, it's nice. You know, the community here in Arkansas, Central Arkansas, it's so tight. It's so good. I know I don't get there as often as I can, as I'd like to on Sunday nights at the what used to be the old Grand Ole Opry. Now, of course, the name eludes me. Here in Conway on Sunday nights when they have the jam. Where's it at?
That's at TC's.
TC's. Yes.
Yeah.
It used to be the Grand Ole Opry West, from what I understand, way back
I didn't
when.
know that.
See, and this is history that I've learned over the years. I'm from Miami. I'm not from around here, but I got here.
How did you get here?
I got here in 2009, and I'm trying to start a fight club, but I'm not supposed to talk about it.
That's because nobody talks about Fight Club.
No, you got that right.
First rule of Fight Club is we don't talk about Fight Club.
But for the people listening to the audio version of this, I encourage you to check out the video version because you were spot on. As soon as you get on, bam, your video fits into my broadcast software perfectly. You have a nice background. It feels like I'm joining you in the boudoir. Is that what's happening?
I'm in a condo right now, and there's like 6 other people here.
Right.
They're all out there, and I was like, I have nowhere to go. Well, this is I got a nice picture behind me, so I'm just sitting down in the bed.
Well, what takes you to Gulf Shores?
Vacation. So I flew in from a military tour on a Sunday night about midnight into Little Rock, and then I got it. They had my husband and children had dropped off a car for me at the airport, and immediately I drove 9 hours here to be with them because they left Saturday, so I was coming late. So just to relax with my family because I've been gone for 2 weeks. I was in Alaska for a week and then Hawaii on a military tour. So
fantastic. Well, I did peruse your Facebook. I don't do a lot of research when I do these things, but I said, well, let me wear one of my favorite Hilo Hatties from Oahu.
I like it.
and this is, it's got cars on it. So I guess maybe that would represent maybe the Alaska part is, they drive old trucks up there. And then the Hawaii part is the Hilo Hattie from Oahu. Not that this.
I was going to say it kind of looks, Oahu-ish.
It is. I bought like 20 of them years ago, and about 10 of them have lasted the test of time. So they build them right. Not that this is sponsored in any way by Hilo Hattie, but you've been on tour. You're okay. I want to know more about you. People can go and find Pamela Hopkins. It's so easy to put you on YouTube. Just put your name in there. Bam, you pop up right on top. Pamela Hopkins feels like it should be such a normal name, a name that's very common that if you put your name in, maybe a bunch of them would pop up.
Yeah,
no,
I'm it.
Just you. That is the brand, and that's what the kids do these days. They brand, and you are the Pamela Hopkins brand. But before you were that, did you grow up in Little Rock?
I did. So I was born and raised in Little Rock. I lived in Seattle, or right outside of Seattle, in Bellevue, Washington, for a brief stint in my childhood growing up, but then we moved back to Arkansas. So most of my life's been spent here.
Wow. So what's it like growing up?
Graduated from Little Rock High School and went to college in Conway.
No kidding. Wait, which college did you go to?
UCA. I have 2 degrees from there. I have a bachelor's and a master's. So.
Go Bears. You know what?
Yeah.
I go by that college, and the football field is purple. So for
it
people,
is purple and gray.
For people that are going on the walking tour, the What Makes You Famous walking tour, I encourage you to check out UCA, the football field. It's a purple field. And I think there was controversy when they were painting that field, is people were going, oh, I don't know. Is that legal? Is that in the guidelines? I don't think there was a rule against it. Is there a rule against it now?
I don't know, but they did it. So, and it's still there. It's still purple and gray. So
it is.
But it wasn't that when I went to school. I went to school there a long time ago. It was just a green field back then. That was a new millennium thing, I guess, because, it wasn't that way back in the 90s when I went to school. So
these kids today in their purple fields.
I like it, though. Purple's my favorite color. It's my favorite color. So
very regal. That says a lot about you. It's I guess kings and queens would wear purple because it was a very rare dye. It was very hard to dye things purple.
It's a royal color, definitely.
Fantastic.
So I got my crown on my head.
You do. And I caught you in the middle of vacation, and oh my goodness, I knew we set this thing up a while back, but I don't know, maybe things fall through the cracks or times change, things happen, and I'm very glad to have you on.
We kind of planned this just a couple weeks ago, so it was kind of last minute because it's our in Arkansas it's spring break, so. I was going to be, gone, and my daughter, she goes to Hendrix College there in Conway. And so my son goes to UCA. My other son goes to Greenbrier High School. So they, the spring break, my daughter's like, what are we doing? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I'll be in Hawaii. I don't know what y'all are doing.
Wait a minute. You didn't take the kids to Hawaii?
No, it's a military tour. Can't do that. Can't nobody go. Just me.
Have they ever been to Hawaii?
Nope.
I
had never been. My husband had never been. So when the tour came up, Pro Tour Productions is who we go through, and Armed Forces Entertainment, and they got with my tour manager, which was Sandy, and we had just been in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. This is in October, and so this one came up, and she texted the 3 of us that were there, and she said, "Hey, I've got a March tour in Alaska. Are y'all interested?" And I said, "Yes," because I'd never been to Alaska. Yeah, I'll go. It's going to be snowing. I get it, but I've never seen Alaska, so sure, I'll go. And then a week later, because the other 2, one of the players couldn't go, so they had to replace her. And then my other partner, Steve, he was like, "Yeah, I think I can. Let me double check the dates, and I'll get back with you." And of course, he comes back 2 days later and says, "Yeah, I'm free. I can do it." And she comes back a few days after that. She goes, "Did I tell you it also goes to Hawaii?" I was like, "Score." You did not, but I am so glad I took that tour.
Oh my goodness. So your partner was already in for Alaska, and then what a bonus is Hawaii.
Right, yeah, me too. I didn't know until she told us. Yeah, bonus is did I tell you? We're going to Hawaii as well.
These are 2 different places that I really have on the bucket list. Had you ever been to those places before?
Nope. And that's why I was like, Alaska, I'm like, when would I ever get back up there unless I did like a cruise or something? Because I am not a cold water person or a cold weather person at all. The beach is where I feel at home. The heat, I like the hot air. I do. I love to be near a beach and around the ocean. So going up to Alaska, I was like, unless I took a cruise, I'm probably not flying up there. And sure enough, I was like, we went up there. It's beautiful, but man, it's cold. Well, it was like negative 18 degrees the day we left to fly to Hawaii, and it was 78 degrees when we landed in Hawaii. So almost 100 degrees difference.
How do you pack for something like that? You must have had trunk after trunk after trunk of clothes. Of course, you started stripping those off when Hawaii came around.
Yeah, so then I packed everything. So then it was just in a suitcase coming here. So everything is here because I just went straight from the airport and drove here to Gulf Shores. So she told us, she said, well, there's a washer dryer. Because I was like, how do I pack for this? Because I need 2 different luggage sets. And she's like, there's a washer dryer. You can, you just layer. And so I actually fit everything in one suitcase. Pretty proud of myself.
I'm pretty proud of you as well. You're well-traveled and you travel lightly. You travel, practically. It's a practical travel. But
well, and I'm going to tell you, it's a good thing too, because it's hard to roll your luggage in snow.
Okay. Good tip. If I ever get to Alaska, very
when
good
you're going
tip.
from car to place you're staying, rolling it in the snow, because we're on Army and Air Force, bases. There's not a front door to you're walking.
Well, that takes care of what's going on now. Have you always been a world traveler, or have you always been a traveling musician? When did this all begin, that your love for music and what have you?
Well, so, I've always played, I guess I always played music. I, started the cello in 5th grade and then moved kind of to the piano a little bit and then started singing. And then I just gave it all up at about the age of 20.
Oh,
I was done. I went to Nashville and I just didn't have a very good experience. I felt like I was kind of scammed. And back then there wasn't the internet. So you couldn't just, check on people. You couldn't go like, what are their reviews? You had to just kind of rely on what they told you. Mm-hmm. And so it was, cutting the album and doing that. Hey, we're going to pitch you to these record labels. And then everything fell through. And I was like, so you just basically scammed us because, they want you to record at their studio. And I was like, yeah, I don't want anything to do with this town anymore. Done. Finished college, got married, became a police officer, did that for 13 years. Got promoted, never saw my kids, so I decided to go into teaching. So I went back to college and got my master's degree and taught for a few years, and then felt like, probably about 9 years ago, that music was basically calling me again. Went there to a place in Conway. You've heard of King's in Conway, right?
For sure.
Okay.
Nice
so
piano bar. They do some karaoke on Thursdays. Very good. Yeah. Very nice place.
Yeah, so they used to do the piano bar all the time. It was Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Mm-hmm. Might have been Wednesdays too back in the day, 9 years ago. And I got in there and started talking to one of the players. I was like, I think I can do this. I play piano and I sing. And I'd gotten up and saying, he's like, man, you got one hell of a voice. Yeah, we'd love to hear you play. And I'm like, I didn't lie per se about playing the piano. I just didn't play it as well as they thought I might play. I just kind of alluded to that I probably played a little better than I did. But I went home and a guy named David Rosico that I was talking to who was kind of training me, he said, look, go home, learn 30 songs, come back and see me. And so I practiced the easiest 30 songs I could find that I already knew from karaoke because I used to do karaoke all the time. I was karaoke state champ back in 97 and went to Florida and competed at the Gladiator Studio. And yeah, I was putting my crown back on.
That Pamela Hopkins, there's so much in there, and I know when I listen to podcasts, they say there's so much to unpack, and there is. There are so many different layers of you. Let's start with, okay, you got disheartened with the music business at 20, very early. You went off to Nashville, tried to do that thing where you get off the bus and people say, here, give me a bunch of money and record with me, and I'll make you a star, and that just doesn't work. You're giving people gems, but you had a fallback. You had the police
college
police officer Was that what you went to school for? You said you had two degrees.
Yeah, no, I went my undergrad degree. I started off as physical therapy, and at the time, UCA was the only physical therapy school in the state. And if you didn't have like straight A's, you were pretty much knocked out of the program. Like, you know, they were like, well, you're not competitive. So I think I had a B in chemistry 2 or something. And I was like, well, I won't be competitive getting in, so I'm going to switch my major. And I switched my major to well, at the time it was speech pathology, and then I changed my mind again and went to psychology because psychology was my minor. So I just made it my major, made sociology my minor. So my undergraduate degree is in psychology.
Hey, I took psychology. I took psychology for a semester, so I know what I'm talking about. No,
right. I was diagnosing everybody.
You know, you do. I took just enough psychology and sociology in college.
Dangerous.
It is, because you look. Why is he holding his hands like that? Why do you look like
You're
that?
Autistic.
What is going on? You know, but
I told my husband, at the time we were dating, he was like, you need to quit trying to diagnose me. I think I had him as bipolar, autistic, like some kind of psychopath. So he was like, I said, I think this is you.
So how much of that was correct? Wait, you don't have to say. You don't have to say. I don't want you to incriminate yourself. It's just us. What, is he crazy? No. But okay, so you became a cop in Little Rock or just outside?
Sherwood, yeah, outside Little Rock.
Sherwood. Okay, all right. My father-in-law
Well,
was.
I started off in Jacksonville. Then I went to Sherwood. So Jacksonville for 4 years, then Sherwood for 9.
My father-in-law was a Benton cop for a long time, and then he moved.
Okay.
Yeah, then he moved to the Florida Keys with his daughter, who I met and I married in the Keys. And then she got, he retired and they moved back here. And then her mom and dad's, she got homesick and she said, I miss my mama. So I started all over again at 40 years old. I was like, all right, I'll start over again, drop everything. My whole radio career, my DJ career down in the Florida Keys, which I do love beaches too. I grew up on the Miami in the Florida Keys, the beach. And my world turned from blue to green. So here you are. You've always been in the green, but you like the blue. You like the beaches. You travel there quite a bit.
I love the beaches. Yes. Yes, I do. I love the beaches. My retirement plan is to retire in Florida or somewhere in the Caribbean. So.
Well, my grandma is still down there saying, come home, son. So, she's always got a place for me. If I go down there, I'll never come back.
Well, that's good, though. I mean,
it is good.
It's always a good place to, and I don't know because we've never lived in Florida, but one of my brothers lives in Florida, and I love visiting Florida. So it's really expensive now that we were looking at housing and just here in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and just, 4 miles down the road is Florida. And the price jumps as soon as you hit the border. It's crazy. That's crazy.
My mom and stepdad just sold their house in Key Largo, and they moved to Tennessee, just a little south of Nashville, and they're building a log cabin house there. And I think it was a good move for them, to go to Nashville. It's less expensive. The money they made on the house that they sold, they're going to live like fat cats, which is great.
Right.
That's what I want for them. And that's what we want when we retire, is to spend some time, make enough. But you're an artist. And a lot of times starving.
We don't make enough.
Starving is preceded by artist. I mean, it seems like you're doing well. You were in the police business for 13 years, you said?
Yeah.
What made you want to get out of that?
My children, actually. So out of my 13 years as a cop, I spent 9 of them in the schools as a resource officer and a dare officer. And then I got promoted to sergeant. And when I got promoted, they put me back out on the street, which was fine. But after about 9 or 10 months of that, I never had weekends off. And my kids, I was used to, like I said, it's being on a school schedule because I worked in the schools. And I had summers off because we worked all the ball games. And my kids could go to the ball games with me because they were smaller. And so because I worked on the ball games, I had summers off. So I could do what I wanted to in the summer. I always had spring break. I always had Thanksgiving, Christmas, all that, because it worked out with time. I worked over here to have off here. And when I got promoted and put back out on the street to work patrol, I was on the evening shift. So I worked 2 in the afternoon to 10 at night. And so I never saw my kids. And I didn't have weekends off because I was the new sergeant. So my lieutenant always had the weekends. And they started getting to where they were saying, like, Mom, please don't go to work. Stay home with us. And it kind of was like heart wrenching. I was like, if my kids are asking me not to go because they miss me, then I probably need to find something that allows me to be at home more. And so I asked, made sure it's okay with my husband because we're fixing to drop some money. I need to go back to school and get my master's degree. And I got accepted into my master's program, UCA. And then because I had made connections in the schools already, it wasn't easy for me to get a job, but at least I had some principals that I had worked with that knew my personality and knew, that I had done that before. And so I got hired as an English teacher for that next school year. And so I was in grad school and I taught at the same time. So for 2 years, I taught and was in school at the same time, and then had my degree and taught for 3 extra years. My dad got sick with cancer. He got diagnosed again. He had already been, diagnosed a few times before and had gone away and come back and gone away and come back. And my mom was starting to have strokes, and I didn't know how much time I would need to be able to take them where they needed to go. And I had a son that's diabetic, one that was pre-diabetic. They're both type 1. So I have 2 type 1 diabetic kids. My youngest one was just told he was going to be. We were just waiting for the onset. So we were taking him all over the country for different tests and try to keep him from onsetting. I just needed more time, and music started basically calling my name again. I was like, well, that gives me at least, if I can do this full time. And as a dueling piano player, that's what I started out doing. It allowed me to get stage time. It allowed me to get performing time. It allowed me to learn how to craft songs because I'm a writer now and I have my own music out. But it allowed me to basically get paid while learning to do something I love. And it's a niche that it's not a very popular, everybody loves a piano bar, but it's not something that everybody can do. And so it's one of those things that it fit well with my personality. And I just, like I said, started hammering out songs, and then was given a chance to start getting paid my last year of teaching. And by the time I, finished the school year, my boss in Little Rock, because King stopped doing the dueling piano. So David, the guy that I was working under, sent me to Little Rock to Ernie Biggs to train. My boss there basically was like, hey, I think we can replace your salary if you want to go full time. And so then allowed me all the days to take my kids to the appointments they needed to go to, allowed me to, if my parents needed me, to drive them to whatever they needed to do. I was just way more flexible, and it just became a fit. And now this is what I do full time. And, working on the dueling part has allowed me to travel across the world. And then I decided, a few years ago, what do I sound like? Not doing other people's songs, but doing my songs, and finding my voice in the music world, and writing and things like that. And started work on that probably about 4 years ago, and here I am today. Got my, my own music out. I've got my own band. I still do the dueling piano thing, and I'm able to love my life, basically doing what I love.
All right. So you were an English teacher where, for how long?
I was in Pulaski County School District, so I taught at Northwood Middle School for 3 years as a 7th and 8th grade English teacher. And then our Little Rock Air Force Base opened up their charter school. So we had a lot of kids decide to go on base because we were near the base. So they shifted everybody because we lost students. So then the teachers get shifted, and I got shifted to elementary school, 4th grade, all subjects at Biomeda, which is between, which the area probably. Everybody else probably has no clue what I'm talking about, but between Sherwood and Valonia. Go out that back road out 107. There's a little elementary school that I taught at for 2 years, and then became a musician full time.
They're putting it on the walking tour right now. They're going to take 107 up to Valonia, maybe go visit that Harps or whatever, and maybe there's a pizza joint in Valonia that I really enjoy. I can't remember the name.
3.
Yeah, there's one real good one that I know my family makes me go all the way to Valonia to go get pizza from them. But man, you were teaching the children. And they were they're our future, but it's tough. It's tough teaching kids, especially, you got your kids at home. It's hard. You're dealing with 30 kids at school, and then you got to deal with your 3 kids when you get home.
Right.
How's the balance? Were you treating them the same as your students? Were you trying to discipline them like they were your students?
No, I can't spank my students.
Well
Spank my
played.
kids.
Yeah, corporal punishment.
Well,
it worked
yeah.
for me. It worked for me, buddy.
Well, what's funny is, Valonia School District, one of the reasons we moved to Valonia at the time, because we just sold our house. In fact, we're supposed to close on it this week.
Hey, congratulations.
And we moved to Conway. Yeah. So I've only lived in Conway the last few months because the people who moved to our house needed early. They were like, hey, can we rent it from you until the sale goes through? Because they had to sell their house. And we're like, yeah, that's fine. So we moved out right after Christmas. And so we live in Conway now. And, it's, I forgot where I was saying.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, we were heading.
What were we talking about?
Nah, we were just heading out of teaching and going
I got it. Okay.
and taking that lateral move from teaching
Yes.
into music. And
So the reason we moved,
yes,
the reason we moved to Valonia was for the corporal punishment. I knew there was something I was going with.
well, I had a shoe throwing mother.
They paddled at school. They paddle at school still in Valonia. And my oldest son, who's now 21, in pre-K, he went to Pulaski County Schools there in Sherwood, and they don't spank. And he was showing some behavioral signs of being a little turd. And I was like, I was having to leave my job as a cop and go to his school and spank him and take him back on campus. And I was like, we don't spit on people. Like, just simple things. Like, I'm going to do this, and the teacher tells me, no, I'm going to do it anyway. He's just being defiant. And so when we moved to Bologna, he was going into, he just finished kindergarten, so he was first grade. And his first grade year, he got his butt spanked like day 8 of school. He made it 8 days.
Okay, the listeners that have kids know they push boundaries. They push. When they're from 1 to 10, they love you. You're the king. You're the queen. You're the hero. 11, 12, they start pulling away. 13, 14, teenage years. They don't like you. And then 18, 19, hey, they start loving you again. Oh, yeah, we're back.
He's 21 now, so but he made it 8 days in his first grade year, and he got spanked, and then he got spanked again at the end of the school year. But from then on, he never got paddled again, ever, not once, and neither did my other two, because he told them.
Lesson learned, and that's a good big brother too. That's fantastic.
He's like, you think mom and dad paddle hard? He was like, let me tell you, Mr. Ratliff. He paddles hard.
Yeah.
You don't want none of that.
I went to Catholic school in Miami, and we had a nun that would was it the nun? No, I think there was a guy that worked for the nun. It seemed like that was her hired muscle, and he had a paddle that had holes in it, so the aerodynamics.
Whistle.
Well, yeah, as it hit your booty, boom. Okay, I'm not doing that anymore. I will do good in school. So yes. I'm a firm believer. A little that little pat in the bottom, it's going to go away, and lesson learned. You got to straighten up.
He learned it, and he needed it. We knew it. I mean, that, and like I said, he was type 1 diabetic. He was diagnosed at the age of 4. So Pulaski County also did not have full-time nurses in the schools, and he was 4 years old. And they're like, well, we can't do this. We can't do that. I'm like, no, like you have to. Like that's the law. It's like it's the law. You can't not. And we just didn't want to fight with them. So we chose to move from Jacksonville up to Valonia, and still have driving distance from the police department. And that's, the schools were good there. I can't complain. They did my kids well. So my daughter graduated from there last year, and
well, that's what we want from our kids is a good education, and you found the spot. You had hardship moving yourself around to make sure that your kids had what they needed. That's what we want. We want our kids to have more than what we have.
Right. But exactly.
Moving through Pamela Hopkins through the years, here we are.
Da, 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 da.
You get out of the police department. You get out of the teaching biz. What year was this when you ended up going to King's or going to Ernie Biggs?
Probably had to be. I think I started sitting in, like the first time I talked to David Rosico was maybe 2013.
Over at King's.
Yeah,
I think
and
that's
then
when
it
they
went
had
into
just opened up.
2014.
They had really just opened up at that point. They haven't been around to. Was it 2010, 11? When did they open
Something like
up?
that. I think they were still pretty new.
Yeah.
But they stopped doing the dueling thing that spring that I started. Just sitting in, like I didn't ever actually work there because I was just going in every Thursday to learn. And you know how sitting in is. Sitting in is where you get up and you do part of their shift for free.
Now what I want you to do is explain what a
Very
dueling
good.
piano is, because it's a different kind of show. If people have gone to a live show and you see a band and there's pyrotechnics and there's a guitarist and a drummer and a singer going singing, but a dueling piano is, well, explain, what is a dueling piano?
So the best way that we can explain is you have two piano players up there and we're doing like a clap along, sing along, drink along, dance along, interactive time with the audience. So it's an all request show. Or as I try to say, it's a request driven show because sometimes people will give us requests and you're like, I can't play that right now. Everybody will leave. Because it's just a horrible song. Or it might be a great song, but it's slow, and it's depressing and we're trying to have a good time. So I try to say it's like a request-driven show. But it's a lot of like we play the instruments, obviously. I play piano, I play drums, I play bass, harmonica, and we basically go back and forth. So it's some improv comedy is in there. So we make fun of each other, sometimes the audience members.
So when you're the pianos typically are facing each other.
Facing each other, yes.
So you kind of look to the left, or if you're on the other side, you look to the right to see the audience as you're singing and playing a piano. And you have a partner. And do you set up a routine, or is it all improv?
It's all improv. We have things that, and I say all improv, it is all improv. So things change. I never know generally what my partner is going to do, but his job or her job when they're across from me is to support whatever I choose to do. When I'm leading the song, if I take my hands off the keyboard, off the piano for the audience to turn around and sing, let's say I'm doing, hey, baby, hey, baby. And I go, ooh, ah, or something like that. I'll give that part to the audience. I'll say, okay, your part is this. And then I might take my hands off the piano, which my partner is to also do. So there's silence so the audience can respond. So it's knowing those little intricacies that each other's going to do after you play with each other long enough. And then sometimes we'll insert things that are off the cuff, or sometimes this is how I do this song. This is how I set this song up. He's going to know what I'm doing. And it's not rehearsed before. It's just you play with them so long, you kind of know where they're going with that song or where they're going with this or that. Or as my partner loves to do, is throw me up there on stage to do whatever he wants me to do. And since it's improv, I have to do it. So he'll say, y'all watch Pam right now. She's going to get up there and shake her butt. And she's got to come to the middle. And he'll make me go to the middle of the stage off my piano and turn around and shake my butt in front of the crowd or whatever. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, it's improv. You have to do it.
Yes, and
like I got you.
Yes,
got you. So sometimes it's a battle like that.
It's always yes and.
Yes, and.
You got to add to it. But from what it sounds like, yeah, you knew 30 songs, kind of. This is not really a show about musicianship. You don't have to be technically the best musician ever. It's about the show. It's about your personality. And even talking for the last half hour with you, you have a personality. You're smiley, you're bubbly, you're outgoing. We've never met before, even though we live so close to each other. We're going to meet for sure.
Yes.
Cliff and Susan, I love their show. I've only gotten to work with them. I think I DJ'd at a thing that they were doing, and it was kind of I was DJing the intermissions over at the Rev Room, I think one time, and just amazing show. And this is, I've seen videos of you. You give a performance. You're sitting at the piano. You're talking with the crowd. You're interacting. Check out her YouTube page, my loyal listener. Pamela Hopkins for sure, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But more so, travel all the way to Little Rock and come see a show live. But
yeah.
But you went from Willie D's. Were you making dough there at Willie D's, or was this like open mics, or was that a regular gig?
Well, so I went to like I said, Kings, and then
Kings.
they quit doing. They started doing live music, and then I went to Ernie Biggs
Yeah,
first.
I meant Kings.
And
I'm
that's
sorry.
yeah, you're fine. No, so at Kings I was making nothing. It was totally free, but I wasn't playing whole shifts. I was sitting in. Like I said, with any musician, can I sit in? It means that you're getting up and you're doing a couple of songs and you're not getting paid.
This is your
So
internship. Other jobs do the same thing.
right,
When I got into the radio, first thing was, hey, you're gonna work for us for a whole year for free. I went for
right.
free.
Well, and a lot of it's it's on the job training. It's
That's
making
what
sure
it
this is
is.
what you want to do before they start shelling out money on you. And I get it. It's not like working at McDonald's where they go, "Hey, we're going to train you to work the fries." I mean, it's not monkey see, monkey do
Yeah.
for all practicality or all I guess ease of understanding. It's not. There are so many things that you don't realize go on in your brain at the same time you're playing songs or that your partner is playing a song. And I do this when I'm with my band as well. I'm constantly thinking, okay, I'm doing this song, what am I doing next? Or okay, I did this song and this song those were clapping songs. Now I have to do an ah song or an ooh song, or I want them to sing back to me, or I do a bit. So there's all kinds of things that have to go on in your head for pacing situations. You can't play all slow songs, and people sometimes at night will give you 30 slow songs and one fast song. So that's why I try to say request driven, because I can't always play your request if it's going to tank the show.
This
So
is the
we have to
difference.
know what's going to take the show and what's going to make, because even though I want to play all of your requests,
Yes.
sometimes I just can't.
No, this is the difference between a
Can't do
concert
it.
and a request driven show. When I'm
Right.
DJing at a video dance party karaoke jam, if the people that sing the karaoke, they just sang a slow song, maybe I'll play an upbeat song. Or if they sing a country song, I'll play a pop song. They sing a
Right.
rock song, I'll play a country song.
Yeah.
Something to give a little variety. And this is exactly what you're doing. But at a
It is what we do.
concert, it's all different. You do have a set list. Maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
all originals. It's all Pamela Hopkins music, or it's 75%, 25%, or 50-50. Some people do that. But you've been on both sides of the entertainment business, to where party band, people don't know when they say, hey, I want to be in the music business. You could be a party band. You can have
Right.
200 songs that are covers and play
Yep.
weddings on the weekends
Yep.
and corporate events and
And I
even
do.
at bars and stuff. Yeah.
And I
Or
do.
you can have your own original songs, which you're starting and getting really into, because I've seen some original music that is made by you. And eventually you will have a Pamela Hopkins concert, all originals.
Well, we're working on that now. So I guess our next place that we play is, coming up is the Pulaski County Fair. And it'll be 75% originals and 25% of the show will be, we'll mix in some covers in there. So, and then I'm doing a tour out in Colorado in the fall, and it's all originals. So I might mix, just for however that word is, familiarity sake, I'll put in a couple of my favorite covers as well, because that's even big artists do that. They'll put in some covers from somebody else. So
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, so that's what we're working towards is doing all my music in a show with just a couple of covers versus the other way around, all covers with a couple of my songs. So it's coming. It's coming.
Such an
I'm excited
exciting
about it.
time. This is like a metamorphosis. It's Pamela Hopkins switching from this, just going to that. You're in a cocoon right now, and you're going to come out this butterfly.
Butterfly.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. So tell me about,
Try.
all right, you went to Ernie Biggs. Did you do you had a regular paying gig there? They replaced your teaching career. That's
Yes.
high praise. Ernie Biggs thought you were talented, worth enough to
Right.
to take you away from teaching. That's
Right. So I replaced my income. I did have a day job just in case, because I wasn't sure, and so I worked which I still do, for Balfour. I owned my territory with yearbooks, and then my husband retired as a cop. He also worked for Sherwood. He did for 21 years. And so he retired back in 2017. And the other side of the company for Balfour, the guy was trying to get out. He also lives in Conway. His name's Don Bussey. He was trying to retire after 42 years. And I knew that was coming up. And that's, so I was like, well, my husband's retiring as a police officer and I know the company well enough. We should try to buy that part of the territory. And so that's what we did. So we now own Balfour, Arkansas, and I work part-time with him because then I became his employee. And so we do cap and gowns and class rings and that kind of stuff, letter jackets for schools in Central Arkansas. I go all the way south, all the way east, and up north. So we cover two-thirds of the state.
This is your territory. If anybody needs a cap and gown or a jacket for school, you're the ones that are going to provide it. That's a great career already in itself.
Yeah, and it's flexible. Again, remember, I had to have something a little more flexible. So when I started with Balfour, I was doing the yearbook side. And so I made my own schedule. And that was perfect because then on the days that I worked nighttime at Ernie Biggs, I could just not schedule myself the next day. So I was never really tired.
Yeah, I was just thinking about you being a cop at night, and then you go and you become an entertainer. Guess what? You're working at night again.
Well, but I wasn't working when my kids got out of school. There's a difference.
Yeah. Well done.
So I was working. That was the thing is when I was a police officer, I was sleeping when they were waking up to go to school because I wasn't getting off till 11 o'clock at night. And by the time I wound down and got to sleep, I would wake up for them to go to school. And I was so tired, I'd go back to sleep and I wouldn't wake up till noon to go back to work at 2. So then they're at school. When I go to work, they're getting off, they're having dinner, they're doing all those things. I was missing the after school stuff, the sports. As a musician, I wasn't going to work until 9 o'clock at night. So see, they were already in bed.
Yeah, I think I mentioned already on this podcast, there's a B.B. King song, and one of my favorite B.B. King lines was The Life of an Entertainer. You go to work at 9 p.m.
Right.
and you get off work around the time the sun comes up.
Yep. Well, which, like I said, had I been put on midnight shift as a supervisor, I probably wouldn't have got out of law enforcement so quickly. I probably would have stayed another year or two. But, but who knows? I mean, that wasn't my path. So it worked out how it was supposed to work out. And that's kind of the way I look at it. And I just go with it. And I've been fortunate with every career change that I've made to always be able to, to provide a good steady income. And when I was unsure, like becoming a musician and doing that full time and kind of stepping out on that plank, that unknown, was to go, okay, well, I have this day job as well that's very flexible. So I can, work it while my kids are at school. I was home when they got out of school. I was able to do the soccer and the this and the that and the gymnastics and whatever they were into. I was able to manipulate my schedule to be there. And that's what was important to me because they were smaller, they were coming into their early teens. And, I think my son, let's say he's 17 now. So he'd have been like 8 years old, 8, 9, and 10, 11 was the ages of my kids. So, they were into, the sports, and I even had Saturdays off, like I didn't work my day job during Saturdays. I worked at night. So I could go to the soccer game during the day. I could go to the gymnastics meet during the day and still be there. Whereas when I was a police officer, I couldn't be. I had to work, So if they had a soccer game at 1, I was missing it, because I had to be at work and I had to drive from Bologna to Sherwood. And by the time I left my house at 12:30 so I could get there and be early because I was a sergeant. It just got to be too much. And I just, had to make that switch and did. And I, am still working, put more part-time. I'm working under my husband because we bought that side of the business. I'm out of the yearbook part and we gave that to another rep, and I help him. I have a few schools that I handle and he handles the rest. So I'm blessed to be able to go do tours so I can tell him, hey, if my schools call, you get to answer the phone call.
No, and you did all this for your kids during their formative years. You made sure that they had what they needed, because kids get feral like a cat, Oh
yeah, they do.
Yeah, if you're not supervising, they need rules. They need structure. I'm fortunate. I work my butt off, so my wife stays at home and homeschools the kid. And that's the choice that we made. Yes, we have a little less income, but the child is getting the benefits, the rewards of having a full-time parent there. And you took the time out to make sure that you were there for their soccer games. You see movies about this all the time. Oh, dad was never there. Mom was never there. You see movies about this because it reflects real life. So you made sure that they had a fighting chance to become
and
good people.
now that they're older, because like I said, I have one that's 21. My daughter's 18. She's in college, and then I have one left, and he's a good kid. So, he's 17, and he's got 1 year left of school. They're at the age now, like he's got a good footing under him, and he's got, a good solid foundation that, I believe I could leave him, be, and he would be okay. Cause he's at that age now. He's wanting to start his independence. He's got a girlfriend and he works 2 jobs. And so I always look at it that way too. He's holding down 2 jobs. He loves to work. He loves to make money. And so that's his priorities are in the right place. He goes to college at UACCM as well. So he goes to school, they take him on a bus, and he goes to college for half a day and comes back and finishes high school, and he's got 1 more year of that. So, I'm like, he's doing pretty good. So I can't complain.
Yeah, he gets that work ethic
He
gets that work ethic from his mom and dad for sure. From what you say, you work, go to school, get your degrees, and make sure that you're, staying at home for the mom too, to be the good mom. Oh my, you're amazing. It's a juggling act, and it seems like you got balls in the air, and you're keeping them up there. And it's beautiful.
I'm trying.
You're doing well.
But now I can go and do a military tour, or go do this and that, and I can be away for a couple of weeks because his dad's also got a flexible. He's retired, and his schedule's flexible, and he's home at night with them when I can't be. So, I'm very blessed, like I said, in that fact that I have that support, with a husband that allows me to go do. Well, with my dream.
You told me about the work at King's, and then you went to Ernie Biggs. What were you doing at Ernie Biggs? Were you the house act every night of the week?
I was. They were open 7 days a week, and so I would work generally four nights a week as a musician, and 3 hours a night on your voice is a lot. And I was working there doing that, and they were sending me to Branson, and to Springfield, and to Wichita, to the other clubs. Oh. And so I started traveling, doing a little bit of that. And then if we wanted to go on vacation, like I told you earlier, I lived in, outside of Seattle for a while. I would go up to Seattle and visit my grandmother, and I would play up there. And then I'd have a conference for Balfour down in New Orleans, and I would play down there. So I would always try to find a bar to play in, because I would make connections, with people, and they'd be like, yeah, she's good, let's hire her for the weekend. And I would go and do it wasn't a sit-in, it actually was shifts. So they have what they call freelance players come in. And so I played in Chicago, I played in Albuquerque, I've, played all over the place because of what I do. And the niche that we're in, you can't just pull a guitar player off the street and do it. So you got to find somebody and I would try to book it early enough to be able to do that. With Ernie Biggs, I could do that. Well, as things have it, I got offered the job at Willie D's, which paid a little more, and I could stay home a little more. So I wasn't having to travel, because they were wanting me to be at the other clubs, 2 weeks out of the month. And sometimes that got a little hard, even though it wasn't 2 full weeks, because I would leave on a Wednesday, and I'd play Wednesday nights. I'd be going Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and come home on Sunday. And then I'd be there home for a week. But I really enjoyed that part of it. But being able to stay home for more money was a better deal.
Yeah, that sounds like the American dream right there. Or just
stay home for more money.
Yeah, not live to work. You work to live. You work so you can have a good life, and this is what you're doing. You've built it. It sounds like you're heading in the right direction. If you don't feel like you're there yet, but Ernie Biggs was sending you. Were all these clubs that you were traveling around to, were they affiliated with Ernie Biggs? Or?
They had 5 clubs. They only have 1 left. They closed 4 out of 5 of them. So the only one left now is Springfield. So I left before the Little Rock location closed. I went across the street, like I said, because that was the club back then, in my eyes, that everybody wanted to work at. That's just, you kind of stepped up if you left Ernie Biggs and went to that club. It was considered kind of the better of the two.
No, it is fancy. So, it has the gangster, the theme type thing. Wasn't that their niche?
That was Ernie Biggs. Yeah. It was they had the Speakeasy Lounge.
Exactly. And then the switch to Willie D's, which is really right across the street.
literally.
Yeah, and so the switch to Willie D's, what year did that happen?
That was 5 years ago,
5 years.
January 5 years ago. So whatever year, 2017. I switched over.
2017. And then
Yes, I've been there for 5 years.
Susan Irwin has been the music director there for all that
2 years now, I think. Yeah.
Okay, but when you went over to Willie D's, how did you make that switch over?
At the time, Matt Pruss was the ED, the entertainment director, and they were looking for a player because I think one of the other players was going to go part-time. Might have been Matt Sammons or somebody was going to go part-time, and they were looking for another full-time player. And I was like, yeah, I've always wanted to work there. Like, that's kind of like, if I'm going to do this is where I want to be here in Arkansas. And he was like, well, I'm offering you the job. And so I took it, and I think he offered it to me in October, and we decided that I was going to switch in January, starting the new year. So that's what I did. I switched January, starting the new year, and then, have learned, and, you get better with the better players that you play with. And so speaking about Susan played there, I want to say back in the early 2000s, and she played there for a long time. And then she went to Las Vegas and I think Santa Barbara, and then she started doing some solo stuff. And so she still does. Now she's got Cliff with her because they're married, so they're a duo. But they asked her, I guess, to come back. She would fill in some when we need a spot, somebody to come in, and she'd fill in over the last 5 years. But they offered her the ED, the entertainment director job, I think right at 2 years ago now. It was during COVID. I know that. It was like when we were shutting down for COVID. So it would have been probably this month, 2 years ago.
Okay, so
she got offered that job. So she's now my boss.
We began this with you trying to record in Nashville, but now you're recording your original music. Who's doing the recording?
Nashville.
Oh, wait. Okay. Now, rewind.
I'm back in Nashville. I'm back. Well, I'm in Franklin.
When did that happen?
Franklin, Tennessee.
When did that happen?
So I did my first EP coming out with Cliff, and that was 5 years ago, I think. Four years
Prose?
ago. Cliff Prowse, yeah, he was starting to learn how to record, and so I gave him my first project. And in fact, one of the songs on my first EP, it's called. Now that I'm trying to remember it, it's 5 years ago. I'm getting old too. Did I tell you that?
Oh no, we're not getting older. We're getting better. Now I have seen online the Big Red Dog Productions. Their studio looks amazing. I want to get down there and at least take a tour and take a look at it. Even though I don't play an instrument, I have. Let's see. There's a piano. There's a few guitars over there. There's a harmonica. Nope, I can't play any of them.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. Well, so he wrote the song on my EP called "Not Another Sad Love Song." So it's more kind of bluesy country sounding, and he actually wrote that song, and I recorded that with him. That was my first song to record with him. So I did 5 songs with him. No, 7. My first EP basically was done there, and then I became a breakout artist with Off the Row Studio in Franklin, Tennessee, and recorded my last. Hang on, let's say 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 songs.
Wow.
In Franklin.
How did you get a hold of them?
And I'm still releasing them. I have a new song coming out next week. So
how did you get a hold of the people in Franklin, Tennessee?
They found me. I guess, you know how Instagram is, and you search hashtags, and when they're looking for artists that they want to back, somehow they came across me, and they have a few artists that they work with, and they have a breakout artist kind of program and they go basically, hey, we want to do this for you, and we're going to offer you this price, which was stupidly good. And they've done nothing but give me like a really great product, and they do all my photography. They promote stuff on their sites, and it was a different experience this time, because I know going in, I'm like, I don't expect anything of you. I just want you to give me a good product to promote. That's all I want. And, they were like, well, we're going to do these other things as well. The biggest thing, honestly, for me was getting my photography done with the songs. I was like, score, because, that sometimes that's hard. You're looking at like, what is my cover to this song going to be? And then you have to go find somebody to shoot it. And as you're recording there and you're working with the producer, which is PT Houston, you're working with the producer there, his wife is who we deal with. Her name's Erin McCaffrey. And she comes in and she's like, okay, so and she's listened to all your songs. So she knows what you're recording. And she's like, okay, so here's the ideas I have with what we're going to do for each cover. And as you're there recording your stuff, because you do it in a couple of days. So you do 4 songs, they bring in the musicians. You do the 4 songs in 2 or 3 days, and she takes you out and she says, okay, for this song, here's what I see. Show me the outfits you brought. And so she takes you to fit that song. So, for instance, my next song called One Too Many, we shot in a bar. So, and I have a drink in my hand. So if you go on my page when I announced that I'm actually releasing that on March 31st, that's a teaser cover, and then I'll have a different cover for the actual song, but it'll be similar. So and I still record with them. This is, like I said, I think I'm on song number 11.
Well, that's what's just it. You develop a relationship with people and people that work with you and give you a good product, which is exactly what you want. You've got to this level. When you were just starting out, hey, maybe you weren't in the right mindset, or it just wasn't jiving right, or you weren't meeting the right people. But now, all right, for people that are out there, for musicians that are just trying to break out and they want to get discovered, how did you say it was social media? Were you on, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube? What was the thing that the Franklin, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the
road.
Off the Road. Well, the people at Off the Road, the fine people that are helping you get your career to that next level. Where did they find you?
They found me on Instagram.
What were you doing?
Yeah, through hashtags that I had hashtagged with my other music. So, that's why they tell you hashtags are important when you're posting, because you do have people out there looking, some are going to try to just, I can grow your Instagram, pay me $25. Well, you're not growing my Instagram for $25, first of all, because you're giving me bots. Yeah. We all know the scam.
Yeah.
But some of the hashtags, you have people that are looking in those hashtags, especially if they're hashtagging the same thing, because I've found other artists that way as well. Just people I want to follow, people I want to emulate, that I'm like, ooh, I really like what they're doing. And I check them out even further. So I think through hashtags, I would put country singer, indie artist, things like that you're hashtagging, that you're hoping other people find if it's not so flooded. And they found me that way, and we began a conversation. And I actually traveled there because of my experience when I was 19, 20 years old. I traveled there with my mom, because my mom was with me 20 odd years ago too. And we went and I interviewed them, and basically it was like, this is what I'm looking for. This is what my expectations are. And they're like, well, we are a recording studio, and this is what we offer in our packaging for breakout artists. And they had listened to some of my other music, and they said, you're exactly what we're looking for, who we actually want to promote and give, these special pricing to, and do these things for. Because it is a good, I'd say it's a good deal. I mean, but it's one of those things I tell you, this is for this program, and don't say anything, because we don't charge if somebody just comes in off the street, they're getting charged the normal stuff.
Yeah, but it sounds like this is not only a recording studio, they give you a little bit more. When people when people hire you out to sing, you're going to give them a little bit more. People hire me to DJ. Oh, it could be just 2 turntables and a microphone. No, it's lights. It's screens for karaoke. It's microphones. You pyrotechnics if you want it. You're giving them a little bit more, and they're giving you that photography, that promotion. This is things that people could charge extra, more.
Well, and her photography is outstanding. If you see my professional pictures, the ones I use a lot, that's her photography.
Yes.
And she knows how to, I'm not exactly a skinny person.
You're gorgeous.
But she knows how to position my body to where I don't look so big.
Well, I mean, as we're landing this plane, if people are looking for those pictures, those fine photos of the lovely Pamela Hopkins, where do they find you?
They can go to PamelaHopkinsMusic.com, and all the things are there. All the social media, my newest releases, all the stuff. So, and I don't know if you are aware of this, but we have the Great Arkansas Country Music Awards coming up. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Okay, well, so this year Leanne Womack is performing at UCA's Reynolds Center at the Arkansas Country Music Awards, and I'm up for 3 this year. I'm up for Country Artist, Female Vocalist, and Album of the Year. So I'm really excited about that. Last year I was up for 1. This year I'm up for 3. But you can find all the things on my website for that too.
Oh, I'm so excited for you. It's good to be acknowledged. A lot of artists will put this, oh, I don't care about awards. I put this out for the love of music. You want to be acknowledged. It's nice when somebody hands you a little piece of glass and with your name on it and says, hey, you were the best at this. This song was a great song. It inspired me.
I had one of those last year. Yes. I was really excited. I got a Josie Award for the song that Matt Damon and I wrote with Trafton Harvey called Little Things. And there's a video out on, if you go to YouTube, you can see the video for Little Things.
Well, I speak to a lot of people.
I got a Josie Award for Country Song of the Year last year.
I talked to a lot of people about this Josie Award thing. That's fantastic. It's nice to have that artist, the independent awards. There's not just the big country music awards or the Grammy awards. There's those little awards that still mean a lot to the people in the community. That's fantastic.
Well, it is. And like you said, I do it for the love of music. I think we all do. I don't do it for the awards, but having the acknowledgement is, it's definitely it's a feather in your hat. It's an attaboy to say you're doing the right thing. And so being acknowledged is nice. It's like, hey, maybe I don't suck as bad as I think I do sometimes. Because sometimes you get hard on yourself. It's a hard business because there's so many no's in the music business and not a whole lot of yeses, so you have to find the reason to keep going.
Now, are you signed on with a record company, or are you still considered an independent artist? I
am considered an independent artist, but I have a PR guy that does my stuff, and he has a label, and it's an indie label. If I wanted to use it, I could. I just choose not to.
Well, the last couple of things is shout outs. I know throughout this thing, you've given shout outs to people that have helped you out along the way. This is, you're giving people gems. You can't do it all by yourself. I know that there's people on SoundCloud and YouTube. They'll get a camera and a guitar and try to do it themselves. But no, from your husband to your kids to the people, the professional workers that you have around you, they're all helping you to build the Pamela Hopkins brand for sure.
They are, and it's very much needed. You need that solid foundation of people that believe in you for sure.
Well, give the shout outs to some of the people that are straggling there, the ones you haven't mentioned already. I know you're going to forget some people, so I want everybody that you forget to be very mad at you. Don't be mad. Don't be mad. Don't be mad at Pamela. Well,
obviously, I got to thank, my band. Obviously, without them, I couldn't do anything. One of my best friends since I was 12 years old is my drummer. His name's Lonnie Abbott. He was also the co-producer on one of my biggest songs, which is Giving a Damn, Don't Go With My Outfit. He also helps manage a lot of my stuff. So I always have to thank him because I'll say, hey, if I'm out on the road, you check my email and do this for me. Can you send this back for me? It's kind of like my secretary.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah. I've known him since I was 12. Also, two of my really, really good friends who are at every solo show I do, which is Jennifer and Brandy, also really great friends. And they help me sell my merch and they got me. They're always like, I got you. You do that. I got you. And so they allow me to do all the things that I need to do, like talking to fans and things like that. And they're always pumping up my, you want to buy this CD.
That's right. I only got $1. Give me that $1.
Yeah, give me that $1.
No,
yeah. My mom, of course, my mom's always been my biggest fan. She watches all these interviews and she will correct me if I say something wrong. She calls me and goes, okay, it wasn't 8 years. He's had cancer for 16 years. And I'm like, yeah, but it got cured and then it was off and then it was on. So we go back and forth. So my mom watches every interview. So I got to say, thank you, Mom, for keeping me straight, making sure that my stories are good.
Yes.
I'm like, nobody cares.
And cancer bad, okay? Cancer bad. Right. Just say no.
Yeah, right. Well, my dad passed a couple of years ago, but
sorry to hear that.
Well, it was time. Yeah. It just happens. We live and we die, and we have to learn how to accept the death. And so he's moved on. He's not hurting anymore, which is good,
Yeah.
But like I said, I've already said family. photographers, Sharp Dunaway and Angela Dunaway. They do all of
Hey,
my they do
they
all of my videography.
they were
And
about
so
the first people that I met up with when I moved here in 2009. I think Casey and the Sunshine Band was going to show up, and I knew KC a little bit from down in Miami, but I really knew his backup singer, Charlotte McKinnon. So they had me come on 94.1 in the morning and just, talk with them. I was like their third banana that day, talking about Casey and the Sunshine Band in South Florida and the things that I had known about them. But yeah, good people, and I've loved them ever since. Sharp has sent a lot of business my way too, and I've sent a lot his way, the videography and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, so he does all of my videos for the most part. I think every one of them he has shot so far. So I try to be very loyal to the people that are loyal to me.
Good choice.
And his wife Angela has been great. She always helps me come up with ideas for what we're doing for the video. So I got to do shout out to them. Like I said, my other band members. So Shane Thornton. I don't know if you know who he is.
Big Shane Thornton.
Big Shane has been my replacement bass player during COVID because my normal bass player, Mike, took some time off during COVID to, he's taking care of his brother who had, I think, brain cancer or something. So he didn't want to be around people. Obviously, didn't want to get him sick. So Shane stepped in and was helping us out that way. And his dad, Danny, stepped up when I lost my guitar player for a little while. So Danny still plays with me some. So without them, backing me up and being there for the gigs that we have, obviously I wouldn't have a band. And they, learned my songs and, they put up with me for sure.
Well, Pamela Hopkins, you're a star, for sure.
Thank you.
You're heading in the right direction, and I'm so happy for you. You got a smile on your face. You got a great personality, so bubbly, making me smile throughout this thing. And I'm stoked. I don't want this to be the last time that we talk. As time progresses and things happen and you have things to promote, you can just come on and talk for a couple 20 minutes or so and just promote whatever's happening in the near future. But I usually
I'm going to come see you in a couple of Fridays. So you don't know this, but I'm coming to see you.
All right. Yeah.
If you're at Bar Rab, and since are you there on Fridays, right?
I'm always there on Friday nights. I think I'm 50 weeks out of the year that I'm there, and maybe a couple at Christmas. Around Christmas time I won't be there because I'll get jammed with other things. But I always
I have a Friday night off coming up because I'm working a party in Kansas City, and I took off that Friday and Saturday. So
I look forward to it. You'll be singing a karaoke song for me.
I'll do it. I used to go there in my college days and sing there. It was called something else back then.
Conway Supper Club. I was working back then.
There you go, Conway Supper Club.
Yeah, that's where if you wanted to get into a fight, you would say, "Meet me at the supper club at 8:00. I'll fight with you there."
Yeah,
and
this was back in the 90s, though.
It's not like that anymore. It's very nice. I have a great time there. But I always finish. Man, I'm going to sit here and talk to you forever. No,
I keep cutting you off. I apologize.
No, I'm trying to land this plane, and I'm enjoying you so much. But I usually finish these things off with last words for the people. Pamela Hopkins, it could be words to live by, something you heard a long time ago, maybe something a family member said, maybe a mantra you wake up with every morning, or just whatever pops into your head at this moment in time. Pamela Hopkins, last words for the people.
I just say whatever your dreams are, have a plan and go forward. Just keep moving forward. And that's kind of what I live by every day is like I have this goal. I don't know what it is. I mean, I know it's in music, but I'm just going to keep going forward. And I think once you figure out the general area you want to be and you make that plan and you just do something every day, you'll get there. You'll look back and go, man, I'm way further than I was. And you can't go wrong doing that, but don't sit and just do nothing. Just keep going. Keep going.
Well, there you have it, party people. Pamela Hopkins. We're like neighbors, okay? We live like less than 10, 20 minutes from each other. But she's not even in town. She's world traveling, or at least country traveling. My goodness, Alaska, Hawaii, Gulf Shore. Okay. Well traveled. That's a traveling musician. Hey, if you can't come to Little Rock, she'll bring the show to you. Give her a call and get her to your event. Man, it was fantastic. She has such a bubbly personality. And if that translates to being on stage, you're going to have a good time at a Pamela Hopkins show. Guaranteed. I mean, just watching the YouTube videos. I encourage you to add her on YouTube, subscribe, and find her at PamelaHopkinsMusic.com. Yes, so good. I look forward to seeing more and hearing more and talking more with the lovely Pamela Hopkins. Now, after I cut the feed off the video and the audio, I noticed in the background. Nah, I'm not even gonna say. I'm gonna leave that in your mind's eye. Pamela knows who I'm talking about. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. Thank you so much, Pamela Hopkins, for being on the program. I appreciate it. Now, if you, yes, you, I'm turning my attention to you, my loyal listener. If you'd like to be on the podcast, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for me. It's Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.